It's cold out there. Got the snowman with Mickey mug just to remind myself that sometimes snow is fun and can be great, even though I have to go out and do some more shoveling today. I don't know about you, but I am about ready for spring. Sometimes the snow comes in Montana and then it leaves and then it comes and then it leaves. We had our first snow way back, I forget, it was November, and it never left. We've had solid snow ever since, and it's still coming down because I get to go out and shovel again as soon as we're done with this live. But hey, it's great exercise, right? And I thought, why not talk about the cold? Because I noticed this morning on the news, there were parts of interstates and highways closed because of the weather. There are still areas where people are stranded and the weather conditions are terrible. Don't go out and drive in those if you don't have to. If you are driving in these kind of weather conditions, make sure you have supplies in your vehicle in case you get stranded to keep you warm. And I thought I would just share a couple things about cold. Borrowing this from 98.6, The Art of Keeping Your Ass Alive by Cody Lundin. Some of you may know he was on a TV show a few years ago. Good information. I have a couple of his books, and he provides some really good information in a good format. Here's one thing he says about cold that sums up some of the main principles about cold. In summary, walking around in cold temperatures without insulated footwear or lying on non-insulated ground, conduction, while wearing sweaty cotton clothing, evaporation, in the wind, convection, without the ability to make a fire, radiation can kill you. Those are some of the keys he talks about in the chapter about, how we, deal with cold and what takes the heat from us, which is, very important because we have to conserve the heat when we're in cold. Good morning, Jay. Appreciate you being here. And so the cold weather bottom line, from Cody, one, we need to produce heat. So exercising using the body's larger muscle groups like squats, eat calorie dense food, especially carbohydrates, frequently throughout the day, create fire in conjunction with space blankets or other reflectors if possible, locate south facing microclimates for maximal sun exposure, hydrate using warm, hot fluids with dissolved hard candy or other sugars when available. So we're trying to produce heat. And this is really talking about maybe being stranded out in the woods or someplace. However, if you're stranded in your car alongside a highway, this stuff is still important. We want to produce heat. That's why you don't want to have a space blanket in your vehicle or a sleeping bag or both. I like to have little cans of Sterno because it's non-toxic. You can heat that where some other ways of producing, heat in a vehicle, can be toxic. So different ways to produce heat and keep yourself warm. Then we're producing heat, but we also want to decrease heat loss. And that's by wearing proper clothing, especially in the head, neck, and torso areas. Replace wet clothing with dry. Create or find shelter from the elements. Decrease surface area while increasing volume. Avoid or insulate the body from cold surfaces. So very important to have a hat, hat, scarf, something, because we lose so much heat. So if you're out in the elements, a hat, scarf, something to preserve heat, not let you lose it, very important. And I'm talking about decreasing the surface area while increasing volume, so having everything, covered up. Insulate the body from cold surfaces. So if you're stranded in your car, if you can insulate yourself from touching the cold door or window, you can preserve your body heat. So being in the middle and wrapped up in a space blanket and maybe a sleeping bag and something like that. If you're out in the woods, we want to insulate from laying on that cold ground. If we can have a mat or something between us and the ground, to help preserve our heat. So, we make a shelter, we have something to lay on besides the ground. Everything we can do to preserve our heat is important. His third key, avoid becoming exhausted. and he has the 60% rule. Working at 60% allows the body to burn fat reserves instead of using up glucose and glycogen stores, and get adequate sleep and rest. If your body is weakened because you're tired, you're exhausted, the cold is going to affect you more. So if we can keep ourselves from becoming exhausted, make sure we get sleep, make sure we rest, don't exert ourselves to our fullest capabilities if we don't have to, we can preserve heat and keep ourselves going in a cold climate longer. Reduce internal and external constriction. Avoid ingesting vasoconstricting substances, tight clothing, equipment, and footwear. Okay, so we want that layers. We don't want to have everything tight and constricted on us. We want that air in there, to help. Now you can have that base layer and then other layers on top of it. Not drinking alcohol, right? We want to drink, so we can drink some warm fluids, but alcohol can actually have the reverse effect and help, us lose heat and such in cold weather. So while you think you might be taking a shot of warmth with a shot of alcohol, it actually can be worse for you. So we want to do, warm water, warm type of fluids to be able to keep our heat. Stay hydrated, drink warm to hot liquids if possible. Urine should appear clear. Okay, if your urine is bright yellow, you're becoming dehydrated and you need more fluids. Okay, so that's a real simple test to, like, if it's bright yellow, you need to start drinking more. Very easy test. Want to stay hydrated. I mean, most people think of staying hydrated in hot weather. We got to drink a lot of water, when it's hot out, because we're sweating and, we become dehydrated. You can become dehydrated in severe cold weather also. And sometimes it's more easily done because people think because it's cold and they're not drinking as much. So want you to make sure you stay hydrated even in cold conditions too. That's why you should have, some food and some water. I like to take a big jug of water with me, a couple gallons when you're on a long trip in the cold weather. If something happens, now, if you don't have water and there's snow, obviously you can bring snow in and try to make sure that it's clean, and you could melt that to get some water. It takes a lot of snow to melt for a lot of water though, but having a water supply with you is the prudent thing to do. So having some fluids as well as some protein bars and some things like that. Because if you get stranded for a day or two, water is key. But having some food and stuff is going to be beneficial as well. We can go a lot longer without food than we can water, but why go without either of them if we don't have to, right? Another thing that he says is stay aware of what's happening. Be conservative. Don't take unnecessary chances. Cultivate and maintain a party on attitude. Right? Okay, so you're stranded in your car. One of the best things you can usually do is stay in the car, stay by the vehicle, have your supplies with the vehicle, wait it out. I remember a number of years ago, it was sort of a sad story. A Korean couple were stranded, and he went to try to get help, and he died. And then they did find the wife and child in the car later, and they survived. If he would have stayed with them, all three could have survived. So it's rare situations where leaving the vehicle and trying to walk toward, help is going to be the best option. Usually your best option is to stay with your vehicle, especially if you have the supplies to keep you going for a day or two or three until the storm passes and you can be rescued. And that's regardless if you're in the woods or if you're just on a highway, like some of the people this last week have been, where they've been stranded because of closures and accidents and such. So those are just a couple little tips from Cody, on things to do in the cold weather to, produce heat, conserve heat, and keep yourself alive until the inclement weather is over and that you are back on track and doing what you want to do. So I hope it was beneficial, trying to give you some different things to help you enjoy life safely. That's what it's all about, right? And so we want to enjoy our travel, but when the weather prevents our travel or interrupts our travel, We want to stay safe, and a little preparation beforehand can make sure that you will be. So until tomorrow, I will see you later. I want you to take care, stay safe. I'm going to go out and do some shoveling. Yay, right? Snow is fun. I'm ready for spring. How about you?